All right, here we are graphing the hyperbola. So remember our equation says that the hyperbola is going to open towards whichever piece is the positive of the two fractions. And so looking at x squared um, divided by 25 minus y squared divided by 9, we can see that it's going to be opening horizontally. It's going to open left to right, uh, or open to the left and open to the right. So let's go ahead and get started from there. Now there's both of our numerators are just the y squared and x squared terms, meaning there's no, well, the value being subtracted from each of them is 0. So we could rewrite this if we wanted to as x plus 0 or x minus 0, maybe. X minus 0 squared over 25. Actually, I'm going to change that as well and write that as 5 squared, just to kind of be real explicit about what's going on here, minus y minus 0 squared over 3 squared equals 1. And I wouldn't expect you really to write it out this way, but just kind of trying to highlight some key points. Our center is at 0, 0. There's our center. Now, the center of a hyperbola isn't on the graph, just like the center of the ellipse, center of a circle. They all help you to figure out where you're going to be graphing, but it's not actually part of the equation itself. It's not a solution. It doesn't make any of this true. There's our center. Now, our kind of vertice and would-be vertice are going to be at the center plus 5 and the center minus 5. So plus 5, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that point will be part of our graph. That's going to be our vertex. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And so over here at negative 5, 0, that's just the center minus 5. So when your center is not at 0, make sure you're just starting from the center value and subtracting that, that value. And our kind of would-be vertices vertically, and there they are. So the center plus 3 and the 0, or the center minus 3. And now this box is not part of the graph. This is just a tool to help us graph the hyperbola. Just a tool. And because from there we can see that our asymptote, which is not part of the graph either, but just again another tool to help us graph it and to help us understand what's going on, goes through the edges there of the box. It's the diagonals of this rectangle here. And so our hyperbola is going to get closer and closer and closer, but never actually touch those asymptotes. All right, so now we've got kind of all of our pieces. We can graph our hyperbola now. We'll go back and find our foci. Actually, let's go ahead and find our foci now. So, or the foci are going to be, if we have a squared plus b squared equals c squared. The c squared is the longest of the pieces involved, and so a squared and b squared, one's going to be the distance from the center to the vertex, and the center to the would-be vertex. And so we've got 5 squared plus 3 squared is equal to the distance to the focus squared. That's 25 plus 9 equals c squared. So then that's 29 equals c squared. C equals the square root of 29. Now that number, whatever it is, it's more than, sorry, not 29, 34. 34. Whatever it is, it's more than 5, but it's less than 6. Because if this was the square root of 25, that would be exactly 5, but it's greater than that. But if it was going to be all the way up to 6, it would be at least the square root of 36, and it's not quite there either. So this amount, this value, is somewhere between 5 and 6. And so from the center, we're going to subtract a little bit more than 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then just a little more. On the other side, we're going to add 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then just a little more. And so there's our foci, and we can go ahead and graph those, or sorry, write down those coordinates. And so it's going to be negative square root of 34, comma 0, and positive square root of 34, comma 0. Now, our vertices we already got, but let's go ahead and write them in. They are going to be at negative 5, 0, and positive 5, 0, and they are part of our graph. So let's go ahead and sketch it in here, and it's going to get closer and closer and closer to the asymptote, but never quite reach it. And then same thing over on this side. So out of all these lines that we have here to sketch our hyperbola, only this blue line is the hyperbola. The rest are all just pieces to help us graph it, to help us sketch what's going on. And so the blue one, let me make that a little thicker. This is the hyperbola. The blue line here is the hyperbola. The rest of it is just tools to get us there. All right, anything we're not, the equation of our asymptotes. And so what is the equation going to be? Well, let's find our slope first off. Our slope is going to be rising 3, and running 5. Hopefully we can see that pretty clear. And let's not use blue. That was our, that was just for the hyperbola itself. So it's rising 3, running 5. So rise. M is equal to 3/5. And the slope for the other one is negative 3/5. And what's our center? Well, our center is 0. So we could write it out as y minus 0 equals plus or minus 3/5 times x minus 0. But really, what is y minus 0? It's just y. So y is equal to plus or minus 3/5 x. X minus 0 is 0, or is x. And then multiply it. There's the equation of our, it's kind of an ugly box. There's the equation of our asymptotes. All right, hope that helped.